Greetings and good morning everyone, this is yours truly, Sugi Shogun here, and today I'm gonna be reviewing Hell's Paradise, Jigokuraku in Japanese, Season 1, or as some people like to call it, Cour 1 or Part 1. Now, basically, hands down, this is my favorite anime of this season. Yes, I haven't tried Oshinoko yet, but due to, historical context of what genres kind of like excite me the most and what I enjoy the most, I think it's unlikely I will change my mind about this. Now, there will be some minor spoilers probably included on this review, so in case you don't want to know anything, come back later after you've seen the anime so we can discuss it. So maybe I should probably start by breaking down a bit of the synopsis and the premise of this anime. So this is basically a fantasy anime taking place in I think, Edo period in Japan, and there's this ninja known as Gabimaru who is part of the Iwakakure ninja, and basically he is sentenced to death, but instead of like having an execution, he is actually sent into this island to find out the Elixir of Life. And basically alongside with him are sent out other criminals who are also, charged of being executed. Like there's basically 10 out of them, or was it 9? And then all of them get sent into this island, and they are like ought to basically, one can only return with the elixir essentially. So there's this sort of like a battle royale type of a setup going on here. And I think a lot of people don't actually know where the battle royale term comes out, because I don't think many people have seen the original 2000 Japanese battle royale movie, and that's how the gaming genre came to be. Like they took that name from that movie, but it's it's kind of similar to that context, okay? But obviously, like their story shifts around quite a lot, because it's a very like mysterious island, and there's like these esoteric religious elements of like weird monsters and everything which do not exist in the mainland Japan. Like this is like this very exclusive weird island where a lot of weird things happen. Like they show like the bodies of these people or emissaries that basically went to the island, and they come back like filled with flowers in them, and that's essentially like what's going on there. And they kind of like going into this like investigating. It's kind of like the live action series Lost, in that sense that it's an island with a lot of mysteries. It's not a mystery show though. I mean, a lot of the things get really explained, at least like in the episode 6 or 7. You have like a pretty good idea of the setting and what is exactly going on in the island, and whose alignments are each to their own. And it's like there are like these very powerful creatures there, and you kind of like start to understand like the mythology behind them, and like how they came to exist, and were they like humans before, and like etc. So there's like an interesting aspects there. There are a lot of like symbolic elements. Like, I mean, as a Taoist myself, like there are a lot of talk about like the yin and the yang, especially, and then there's a lot of like things about like Buddhism, for example. But it's a really interesting like portrayal. Like, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily use the word demonic, but it's kind of like, and that reminds me of the recent, I can't remember the name right now, but there was like the From Software made just like a game for like PS5, like one of these Souls games, and that was like all about Taoism basically. But it was Taoism was like depicted as this like a major villain, evil type of thing, and I kind of see like certain similarities here, and maybe that's like due to the elements of the Japanese hating the Chinese, and that's why they shit on Taoism. I don't really know what this is. Maybe I'm reading too much into that, because maybe there's like too anecdotals here. But basically, yeah, there's a lot of like symbolic elements here, and this was basically animated by Mappa, and the quality is pretty good. There's a lot of fighting here, there's a lot of gore, so it's pretty bloody, and it's a one of those survival anime. Now, I said this time and again, I never thought that this idea of like Akame ga Kill, for example, comes into my mind, and some others like or Mirai Nikki, the Future Diary. Like, I don't like these concepts where like everybody just basically dies in the story except like one or two characters. That's not like a great writing in my opinion, because it's very predictable. Like there's only going to be few who are going to be surviving in the end, and that I don't know how the manga has ended. I mean, this is going to be another 13 episodes, and it's probably going to wrap up the whole series altogether, so I don't think there's going to be season 2. I don't think there's that much actually material, because the manga is not that long. And so what I'm trying to say here essentially is that I might actually dislike the series a lot more once we get into Cour 2, because I don't know the ending or how the series is going to end. Are everybody just going to fucking die? Because I just don't like that types of endings. They're kind of... I don't know how I put my mind into it. I just don't think it's like very... you know, it's kind of sad, obviously. It's kind of dark, and also like it's not very like intellectual writing in my opinion. It's like it's a very easy solution. We're just gonna kill everybody. Like this is like kind of lazy writing in my opinion. So but yeah, but in terms of like reviewing these first 13 episodes, I'm liking it very much. I think the dynamic is like a lot more different in the beginning, and then it gets slightly different as you pass like the halfway through the season. And in terms of like the animation and the characters, like Gabimaru, and then you have all of these, they're like these executioners who are kind of Asaemon, which are basically accompanying each of the prisoners, and they also are there to like, you know, make sure that they are fulfilling the mission of like the Elixir, like giving out all types of these rules. And then you have these sort of like supernatural elements here as well, and you know, there's a lot of like really cool fights in here. The animation, I think, is a really solid quality. Maybe not the best of MAPPA themselves, but I really like the art direction here. I like the designs of the characters. They don't look like bland or anything. And Basilisk is another one. In case you like this one, you probably should watch Basilisk. That has like a lot of a very similar tune to it. But that also suffers from the same problem that basically in both of the Basilisk shows, like everybody just dies in the fucking end. Like that's just like their solution to storytelling. Also, banger intro, probably the best song of the year, hands down, worked by Millennium Parade and Sheena Ringo. This is the song that I have listened the most outside of any anime this year, and probably like last year even. Like this is something that I really love. The actual music video is really good, so that's something you should definitely look into, because I think it's very cinematic and it's like very, very, very cool artistry in it. And I think it's somewhat also relevant to the story here in the anime. Not super much, but a little. So like hands down, I think the story is pretty good. You know, there's a bit of a mystery in the beginning, and there are some mysteries going on. Like most of the stuff is really figured out, so I may be assuming that part 2 is just gonna be a lot of fights. That's just my assumption, but the part 1 here kind of ends on a very, well, in a kind of a cliffhanger. You know, like this was definitely not something that this is not an anime that has arcs. Like that's at least not what I found on the Wikipedia based on that. So, like this was not like very organic ending, like an arc is ending here and we're just gonna be wrapping up the, like this like really stopped on a crucial point. I'm not sure when exactly we're gonna be getting the part 2, but I think, well, actually I can check that out. I think it's gonna be on, well, we don't have any information on that, probably next year or end of this year. And there's a bit of a like a cliffhanger after you on the last episode. If you watch the after credits, you can definitely you know, see what's going to be the focus on the second part, or who's going to be introduced, basically. And I have to say, like, the characters are pretty good, very likable. They have a bit of a background story to them as well, even though there's, like, not that many episodes here to flesh out those backstories. But they have done, actually, a fair amount of good job doing that. Like, the characters are, like, visually good, and also, like, they have some type of, like, relevant backstory to them. They're not just copy-paste of each other, and, you know, it's just, like, there's something substantial here. That's what I'm trying to, like, address. So I really liked this, you know, anime, and I was really eyeing on it for a long time. You know, it kind of gives me a bit of these Attack on Titan vibes as well. Not exactly, but there's like some similarities here, and it's definitely well, a very good entry in this like sort of a franchise of survival battle royale style anime. But let's hope that the part 2 is going to be as good, or the second season is going to be as good as the first season, and it will not have some dumbass ending. But don't fucking spoil that, guy. Don't spoil that for me in the comments, by the way. But tell me what you thought about this season, and I will be seeing you guys on the next video. Cheers.